Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC. It's time for Rogue versus XL. Two teams that have been struggling quite a bit lately, of course, in that race for playoffs. If you remember, or if you watched Ready Check, or you've just taken a look at the standings, you'll know that XL is actually in very hot water right now. In fact, they are fighting with the teams around them, like an SK, who just picked up a win, like an Astralis, like a Fnatic, to make it into those playoffs. What a turnaround of a story it has been for XL, coming into the split as one of the best teams after the Korean bootcamp ender. Now, though, have fallen flat entirely.
Yeah, I mean, the early game doesn't feel quite what it once was for this XL team, and that's surprising because they came out off the rip so hot here in the LEC. But I think when you sort of look around and look at what's sort of going wrong, I feel like one of the big weaknesses for them has been Mikyx down in the bottom lane. The impact we're seeing from him, and honestly, the deaths we've seen from him, while sometimes would be characteristic back when he was playing all those engaged supports, he's been playing primarily enchanters and just getting caught everywhere.
And I think that was one of the very characteristic games that we're talking about when we want to highlight the deaths from Mikyx. I think in this particular one here, it's 10 deaths in one game. And when you're playing especially that Lucian-Nami sort of combination, you can't lose one of the two, because then what's the point of the whole draft, right? And I feel like the Korean buff, yes, it lasted quite a while at the very start of the split before other teams figured out what XL are doing. And now they figured out that they use the pressure mid lane, they get Mikyx together with Markoon and the stat hit in the side lanes. Now teams can stop them dead in their tracks. And again, XL has been a team where if one doesn't work, they will retry and then just dig a bigger hole for themselves.
I mean, Mickey is still very much playing the Mikyx style, even on Bard. Like, he's portaling forward, he's flashing forward, trying to get stuns, trying to set up his team. And I honestly feel like maybe the current meta is hurting him a little bit compared to like the champions of old that he was so strong on. I would like to see a return to some of those picks, because I think it's so much easier to set up your team, especially when he's going to continue playing that style almost regardless of pick, when you're on a very straightforward initiating ball.
Yeah, that's a great thing to look at. We will be covering picks and bans on the desk, so we'll keep our eye on that. But giving us a bit more insight on Rogue's second half of the season is their head coach, Freddie, who's now standing by with Laure. Take it away.
Thank you, Sjokz. And Freddie, thank you for joining me ahead of today's game. Things haven't been easy for Rogue lately. When you think about the second half of the split, early game, Malrang not finding the space he was used to have. What's your take on the team's success and failure?
I think recently, the last few weeks, we lost our groove a bit and we lost our identity. There are things that we stopped doing in game that we didn't recognize quick enough. So this week's been all about like doubling down and fixing those things. And to the outside view, it might look like Malrang's not getting or finding these opportunities, but there's so much that we're not actually doing correctly in these games.
I see.
So it's like other reasons, and we've really been working on fixing them. So yeah, that's been the thing for this week.
All right, so more of the team not clicking at all, let's say, but you mentioned losing your identity, and I know that Rogue was often recognized as the regular season team, which means that you were always on top of the meta, knowing what to beat where and where. So yeah, what failed here? Maybe a wrong read of the meta, or you not being able to keep track?
I think a bit the wrong read, but mainly I think we just discovered the meta a bit slow. So even though we had drafts that I think were okay on stage, we hadn't actually practiced them that much. So we're not, I mean, like the Pantheon Ashe, like last week, we definitely did not practice that much, you know, and while we could say, yeah, we were actually pretty comfortable that we should win that draft, or the game from that draft, but it wasn't practiced. So I think we were slow on the meta read, and we just had like bad practice as a result of that.
I know that teams often say that scrims can be fake data. Do you think that's what it was?
To an extent, yeah, to an extent.
Okay, and now how confident do you feel? I mean, you're going to be facing off against XL, who haven't been so strong also lately, 4-game lose streak so far. What's the game going to be about today?
I guess it's whoever fixed their issues the most coming into this week, because I imagine that they also spent a long time and long hours at the office this week, as did we. So, I mean, it's just who can identify the problems and basically fix them fastest, and who can adapt like the meta read a bit. So I think that's all.
Yeah.
That's going to be it today.
All right, well, let's see if you have the answer. Freddie, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you.
Good luck today against XL, and Sjokz, back to you.
Thank you very much. We have a little bit more time than we anticipated, which is great because we actually have quite a bit to talk about when it comes to Rogue and especially our expectations, right?
And thankfully we can talk a lot as well.
That's true. We are good at talking a lot. But interesting Trouble. Yeah, he talked about, okay, maybe not the right read on the meta, which then made the quality of our practice not where it should be.
And also, it's also which teams do you play against and what is their read of the meta? Because if one team plays Taliyah and the other one doesn't play Taliyah, for example, when Taliyah is at S tier peak right now, then you have to accordingly fix your own draft towards it. So it's like about screen bubbles and who do you play and how is the opponent's team read on the meta that then will reflect on yours as well.
Because obviously you could see, oh, other teams have been playing, then it's obviously strong. But if you don't get to practice against it, then that's a tricky thing.
Mention the Pantheon as well, the Ashe.
I haven't thought about it rather that way either. When it comes to XL and Rogue, though, Rogue at least picked up one win last week, and it was over Mad, and it was a very impressive one. We'll get the draft up in a second, Ender. So it's not that it's all gone for Rogue. It's just not going as perfectly as they would have hoped.
Yeah, you know, this is still a team that obviously has, wow. I mean, looking at the second half
this is the
stats
other
right
graphic,
there.
actually.
That's rough. We could have talked about the win. We can talk about this instead, which is valuable. We're going all over the place here. But no, honestly, like this saw a little bit of a return to form. I think we saw Malrang's impact a little bit more in the early game. He's taken it a little bit slower than he has before with this squad. And for me, this team, it looks much better when Larssen is in a comfortable position to carry in the later fights.
And I feel like this was one of the most Rogue-esque wins that we have seen for the past 3 seasons from Rogue. They didn't have to necessarily snowball or get all these flashy kills. It was more about we choke our opponents in lane, we keep getting their objectives, we push our vision forward, and we just wait for these neutral objectives to come up. We take Soul, we take Baron, and then we finish the game. That was very old Rogue, if you will, ending first on the regular split.
Yeah, vintage Rogue, right?
Rogue,
and a lot of that, we just saw the stats for just a second because they flashed off. But yes, it was dire in the second half of the split comparatively to the first one. In a way, though, this might be BS, but in a way, I'm kind of happy that this is happening now for them because they're still going to quite comfortably make it to playoffs. Maybe I didn't jinx it, I don't know. But, you know, be able to shot call things in the season because when you're always #1, maybe that's harder. We'll see what they go for in the picks and bets. Yeah, that was gibberish. Sorry, that's gibberish. Oh my God. What I was trying to say is that, you know, when you're on top all the time, we've heard this from many, many teams in the regular season, maybe you're not shot calling the things that you should in terms of the practice. Now they definitely will be. As we go into this draft trouble, you have your eye on a couple of specific picks.
Absolutely. I think Zeri, Yuumi, and then Taliyah will be very pivotal for both teams. If we're looking over XL, they have definitely been favoring their Yuumi and the Zeri, especially if the cat is open. They have so many things they can pair it up together in the bot lane. And I feel like for XL as well, because they're one of the teams that like to play towards the side lanes, Nukeduck on the Taliyah that can shove the wave and go dive towards Markoon or Patrik and get them these early game kills will also be a key for success.
Yeah, I actually think banning away this Ornn by Rogue is a really good decision. One of the things I was eyeing for XL coming into this game and this weekend in particular was sort of going back to the ways of old, big focus on Patrik, playing away from the top side of the map and really just simplifying things for that one. So removing that I think is smart, as well as the Azir ban on the other side for XL. Larssen continues to look very good on that. And if you talk about vintage Rogue, the Azir is there for him.
He has been wounded a bunch of times here as well. And I was wondering, Malrang has literally any pick other than Poppy in his hands, and he's gonna go for the Jarvan. Now, what the Jarvan a lot of the times does is forcing your opponents to go for a lot of mobility, if you will. We've seen a lot of LeBlancs. Nukeduck has also picked LeBlanc in the previous game as well very recently. LeBlanc has also been banned. But picking a lot of mobility doesn't necessarily mean that your comp is cohesive.
Definitely the case. I want to see Malrang on early game ganking junglers. Like, that was so effective for Rogue. And part of the fall-off I feel for Rogue has been them being a little bit less opportunistic in their early games, looking for plays. But talk about play around the bottom lane. The Draven is in for Patrik.
Doubling down. Fun fact, not so fun for XL, actually. They struggle a lot on the red side. In fact, they are 6 wins, 2 losses on the blue side, 1 win, 6 losses on the red side. And you have a bit of a read on that.
And seeing Larssen locking in the Taliyah, it's not that the guy doesn't play the Taliyah well, he does. It's just that I feel like the team doesn't know very well how to play around the Taliyah. I think they're on 3 losses on the champion. It's more of a takeaway away from Nukeduck.
Yeah, it's been very underwhelming so far. At the same time, hearing Freddie talk about, playing the true global composition and not having so much experience on that, maybe that gives you a little bit more hope that Larssen can pull that out. But when you look at a top side of the map here, and specifically like a Taliyah and a Jarvan as a mid jungle with a Renekton up towards the top side, it gives you a lot of options in the early game. Honestly, the Renekton can be fine on his own, or you can play to try and stack and dive early on 3rd or 4th wave.
A lot of the options that I'm seeing here for Rogue is get that Taliyah top lane, get that Renekton ahead, snowball him into the fights like Herald, like Dragons, where he really does excel into the very early game, especially after he gets his ultimate. Now, if we're looking at mid lane, I would like to think that Rogue will ban the LeBlanc away because he's one of these champions that you cannot really pin down, and she has a lot of kill pressure onto Taliyah, and potentially even a top laner that will be good into the Renekton.
And really the question for Rogue here is whether or not they want to play like a true weak side bot lane versus this Draven pick. Because like with the Renekton up top, like we have mentioned, like it's possible for them to play very heavily towards that lane in the early game, but I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the best idea when there's a Draven on the opposite side and giving control of your bot side jungle too.
And I just really love how Excel banned the 2 safest supports that you can play in the bot lane. So it's like whatever AD carry you choose to put down the bot lane is not going to have one of the 2 safest supports next to him. But also, I'm thinking right here, the Twitch is still up and available with something like a Lulu. You play a little bit more defensive, you start wave clearing. The Sivir is something that's been popping up a lot right now, especially due to the wave clear and the later on team fights. And especially if something with heavy CC gets locked in the bot lane, Sivir is one of the more stable picks you can have.
Yeah, still leaving options open here with that Sejuani, and the Sylas coming in here can be pretty nice. I feel like ultimates on the opposite side, Renekton can make you very beefy. On the opposite side, you can try and match the roams with the Taliyah as well by grabbing that one in for yourself. But I do want to stress, I want to see Mikyx on a melee support here, and I think you almost have to with this style of comp. Super brawly composition here, of course, for the side of Excel, very low range. So legitimately a Sivir and the movement speed you can get from that, I think offers you a lot of value when you're playing against such a limited range and melee composition.
Absolutely, and if this Leona gets locked in right here, you have a bunch of protection, but also engage for your team. But when Renata Glask is in there, we said it before, on Renata Twitter, S-tier picks right now, they create so much room. And if it doesn't get picked right here, I would expect actually Mikyx to go for something like the Renata. So strong into a Sivir, presses Ricochet, starts auto-attacking people with a full crit. You start hitting your teammates, they're gonna get low on HP real quick.
It seems like with the Rakan, you can still get the engages that you want off, right? A very comfortable pick for Trymbi as well to round out the composition. And now to see what's going on the other side for Mikyx, who we have our eye on, I'm going to say, for this game.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they lock in the Nautilus, they've got it literally 2 of the same ults. Just one Nautilus presses R, the other one Vi attaches herself to a Nautilus R. So much individual lockdown right there. Ein Comp and Larssen in the backline, again, can be somewhat difficult to self-peel even with the spell shield versus a Vi.
What I'm seeing here from Rogue, though, is a lot of squishiness. Because the only tanks you have in your team are Jarvan and Renekton, and they're pretty much pseudo-tanks because they build a bunch of AD in their kit as well. So I feel like whoever Mikyx targets, whoever Markoon follows up on, if Finn hits an ultimate with Sejuani, somebody gets completely popped.
Interesting to see. I think Excel is also taking a page out of the book of, we're just gonna engage on you, hopefully, and we're gonna not make it too difficult for ourselves, right?
Yeah, and they're putting Finn on a tank on the top side. It's all about the bot lane. This is exactly what I wanted Excel to come into this week as their read for, and for a read, right? You have 1 week to scrim to force your way and make your way into playoffs. This is what we were expecting. This is what we wanted out of Excel.
This is what we wanted out of Excel, indeed. And Rogue, if they win, they would lock themselves in the playoffs, but they would also lock Misfits into the playoffs. It's just another example of how everything is connected here in the Super Week. Of course, Excel would not be very happy. Oh, probably sad that Leona isn't locked in. That's Leona cosplay, I believe, right?
I couldn't see the whole cosplay. I think it's beach pool party Leona
pool party
with the flower in her hair. Yeah,
it's
I
a
love
great
it.
one.
It's very fitting with 30+ degrees outside.
But here we go for Rogue versus Excel.
Here we go, third game of the Super Week, third game of 15 as Rogue and XL take to the Rift. Both these teams, hello everyone. I'm Medic, this is Guldborg, and that's Vedius over there. Both these teams currently sitting at 2-4 in the second half of the season. They've been struggling a little bit here, guys.
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a
touch.
Could be said. I mean, they had a good first half of the split, and then towards the second half, went a little bit downhill for both of them. So yeah, you could say that.
And I did.
Damn.
It's good to have you back, Medic. One of the things we did want to highlight, of course, is looking at some of these early game differences, because when we look back at Rogue initially, Rogue had a pretty solid start to the split, but the second half has looked not very good. The numbers are quite dramatically different, and of course stats aren't always everything, but when you have a near 90% first tower percentage and a 70% first tower percentage, you average a 1.4k gold lead. That's pretty significant, and then to suddenly have declining numbers all across the board, it's a pretty dramatic shift from Rogue from the first half to the second half.
And I think that's really interesting as well, because some of the things I did think went wrong for Rogue towards the second half of the split is that 2v2 between Larssen and Malrang that was so good in the beginning really wasn't as potent, or we didn't see it as often as we did earlier. But now that you have Jarvan and Taliyah, like, there's proper good setup for ganking mid lane here if that's what you're looking for. So hopefully some time for them to have some redemption in terms of the things they've been working on as a team.
Yeah, we'll see if that's what Malrang decides to do. Hasn't been as heavy in terms of being around his this team this year as perhaps we've seen him in this split, as perhaps we've seen him in previous splits. But as we do have a pause, I was wondering, you know, keeping with the 80s theme, I actually looked up one of my favorite songs from the 80s, and I want you guys to know, tell me if you know the lyrics to this one, okay? Yeah. We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of.
Oh no!
You wouldn't get this from any other
Come
guy.
on, Betty.
I don't know this song.
You don't know this song? I'll keep going.
Oh my god.
I just want to tell you how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Got to make you understand.
Okay.
Never gonna give you up.
Never gonna let you down.
Never gonna turn around and hurt you.
God. That's such
that
a
was
great
awful.
song.
Yeah, it's a really good song, right?
Oh, the crowd was singing too.
Oh, thanks, guys. You just rickrolled everyone watching. So good job.
Good job, crowd.
Beautiful
I'm
stuff.
proud of you. Let's have a look at this early game jungle clear, though. It seems that both junglers starting mirroring each other as they both start on red. Typically, you will see early junglers path towards a Draven lane, both to offer protection and maybe even look for an early gank. Of course, Draven Nautilus, a very potent lane that does have a lot of kill pressure behind it, and you can see Patrik and Mikyx leveraging that. They are very close. I say very close to level 2. That's not quite true. They're still on the first wave, but they are leveraging their wave pressure to slow push this wave in, stack this wave up. In theory, that should give enough time for Markoon to arrive just as the wave is about to crash.
And if you're on bot lane, and then you know how much this lane sucks for the Rogue bot lane. You're playing Rakan into Nautilus, you get locked down, the mobility gets stopped, super difficult to play. Play Sivir into Draven. Spell Shield doesn't really do too much to what Draven excels at, which is that extra damage from his Q. So just playing out this laning phase from the side of Rogue is going to be difficult, and I think this is a great point of attack for the Excel team as a whole.
And I will say that, well, we have been seeing a lot of Draven, we've been seeing a lot of Sivir. Mikyx already looking for a bit of information as to where the enemy jungler is. Is he looking for a mid-run? The pink, they know exactly where he is. Wow. They have no vision, but they have full information, and Larssen is playing that way. He's hovering around the top side of the mid lane. He's closer to his jungler. He's also closer to vision, but here they come.
Larssen's going to try and get away from this. Knock back flashes from the hook. Mikyx unable to connect. That's the Summoner Burn and the Ghost as well from Larssen.
Yes, a great equalization there from Mikyx. They had the bot lane priority. You have 2 waves crashed. Now the third one's going to crash back towards Patrik, and you just get so much time to roam around on the map. And even with Rogue knowing that, Larssen had his lane in a position where he just had to walk a little bit off to hit the lane. Nukeduck went out of vision, and all of a sudden, they just set up that play quite nice.
I will say I'm surprised that Larssen was forced to burn both of his summoner spells there, because we highlighted the ping on the minimap. Rogue had information that Mikyx was roaming towards mid. They should have expected this, yet Larssen still ends up getting punished for it.
See the return.
Good knockback flashes available for Nukeduck's going to try and get away. Malrang flashing forward. Martial Cadence not enough to kill off the XL mid laner.
Cooldowns from Jarvan just a little too long in the early game means he doesn't have that extra ability, but Markoon charging up the Q.
Should be able to secure this one. Malrang doesn't have flash or smite, so Markoon knows he's in a pretty good situation with his bot lane pushing in as well. Comp pops the spell shield there. Didn't get connected with the hook, so no health back for the Rogue AD carry.
A little bit surprised to see that Nukeduck wasn't threatened on the tower either. That was a quite big of a wave that could have been denied, but the lack of vision of where Markoon was just, went them down towards the bottom lane to get the Scuttle Crab. And now, Markoon making his way down here could look a second time as well.
Of course, Larssen doesn't have that TP available. One of the things that you have to be cautious of. Nukeduck now makes his way back into the lane. And they're looking for a play block.
Trymbi should be able to dodge away. Good stand aside, but Trymbi has the second dodge with that battle dance. It's one of the joys of Rakan, the safety that you can have in a lane like this.
Yeah, a lot of mobility at Trymbi's disposal. We saw last game how well Treats was able to leverage that to find a lot of engages. And I think that's going to be another key factor in these upcoming fights. But of course, just a lot of back and forth in this early laning phase, kind of what we expected based on, well, our expectations of these two teams. They are typically very lane dominant. Usually from the XL side, a lot of it's off the back of Markoon's aggression and Mikyx's roaming, whereas for Rogue, a lot of it is reliable laners with Malrang leveraging this and trying to play around the wave setups and opportunities. And so far, nothing has really come off of it outside of a couple summoner spells burnt from either side, which means that the gold is dead even for now.
And that brings us to the next point of attack for, well, both teams really, right? The fact that Larssen doesn't have that flash leverage, the win condition of the early game of Markoon and XL that you so highlight here with the fact that you can come around mid lane again. Same can be said for Rogue though, with the fact that Nukeduck no longer has that summoner spell himself. He's playing a melee champion, quite easy to set up if Trymbi were to come around as well.
Always have to look at these summoners early game when they're burnt. What do teams do with that information, with that advantage that they can gain? Malrang no flash, but Markoon has his as he's looking towards the mid lane. Malrang gonna come in for the counter gank. Larssen gets knocked up. Nukeduck dives across the wall as well, and Larssen trying to dodge around this, but XL have got his number, and they've got their man. First blood over to Nukeduck. He steals away the Cataclysm, and he's gonna bring down the walls. A double for Nukeduck.
Beautiful play from XL and a great gank from Markoon. The flash Q to make sure that they can set up that play onto Larssen, and then both Markoon and Nukeduck sidestepping the knockback from Larssen meant that they had more damage and they were able to find some big kills. First blood goes to XL.
And you can also just see the presence of mind for both teams. They understood that that was about the mid lane. Now with these two kills, you can try and leverage a potential Infernal Drake later down the line. You have 2 kills on Nukeduck now. Should be easier to skirmish. So XL, not only do they get these kills, they also buy themselves a potential objective once they finally come back from their resets.
And we can have a look at this play once again. So keep your eyes on Markoon in the setup. Larssen's just trying to push the wave underneath the tower, flash Q, and then Nukeduck comes over the wall. Initially with the W, uses the E to sidestep from the knockback, meaning that he can stick onto Larssen, and Jarvan can't do anything. All he has at this early stage is that EQ combo. Once it's gone, you're just running around slapping people, and Sylas and Vi just have so much more dual prowess this early on in the game. So well played, XL. They're able to get a small advantage, a much needed one, given the context of how close the playoffs race is.
Yeah, currently sitting at 7 and 8. XL really looking to close this weekend out with a 3-0 scoreline if they can. A win here doesn't lock them. It would, though, if Rogue win, lock both Rogue and Misfits into our playoff spots, meaning we'd only have 3 of those remaining 6 slots available for other teams to secure. XL, though, get the first Dragon, get 2 kills, and off to a storming start here.
What's crazy is that we will have Fnatic versus Astralis up next, which means that these 3 teams that are competing right now between XL, Fnatic, and Astralis all very much need wins. If XL can get a win here, it would be massive.
I will say,
Stakes.
Don't forget about SK as well.
True.
They did just
Very
beat
true.
Vitality, although they are 1 win behind. If they can 3-0 the week, they can get themselves into a position where playoffs is very much on the horizon.
Now back to the game, almost towards that 8-minute mark as well. You can see that currently Markoon is clearing up towards the top side. Mikyx is in a position where he can roam. Because of this, you can set up greater for the Herald as well. Trymbi is going to be here later down the line that, of course, Mikyx is. Now you can see him in the mid lane, and that allows XL to keep the early game pressure going. This is something they were very good at doing in the past. The reason why we highlighted their early game so often, because of the map movement they have as well.
Control not going to spot out the ward inside the pit. Then though. Just going to come down and steal away some of these fruits. Can we have a quick look at XL's vision? So, do they see that? So they don't see the control ward, and Rogue don't see the other ward. So they don't know that they know that they don't know that they know.
They what now?
They don't know.
They don't know.
Can you say that again 3 times really quickly?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
XL though, they have rotated Mikyx up. Here comes Trymbi as well. Patrik should be able to get initial push on the bot lane, which means that he will get the first rotation. Odoamne's gone for a quick reset to spend some of that money, which gives Finn a window to push out the wave, which means that XL will be the first ones to start off the objective.
And now they know that they know with the pink ward being cleared out, of course, and now being the first one there, there's also the potential of Finn coming as well with the Glacial Prism, but they're not really feeling it. And I think as soon as Odo joins the fight as well, he can actually be a key figure with your potential early game that you have.
You can see Patrik moving up as well, though. He's going to try and join this fight. Knock back onto Nukeduck there. He's going to take about a third of his HP as they go back, and XL realize they don't really want to do too much more here. After Comp left bot lane, XL started to say, well, we don't know how quickly the Sivir is going to be able to come up here, and they back away. Patrik just hovering. The wave is meeting in the middle in the bot lane, so neither of these AD carries is losing more than the other right now, but with XL having retreated from this and Rogue bringing Comp all the way up, Patrik will actually have some free time on the bottom lane.
See that after XL's failed engage attempt, they decided, well, we don't have Sejuani ultimate anymore. Odoamne is going to have everything. You compare the itemization, he's got that pickaxe, plus he's got the Vamp Scepter compared to the Taliyah on Finn. It's just, when you don't find that initial pick, XL's like, okay, we're probably not strong enough to be able to fight them, let's not bother. But Nukeduck is still hovering around. He does have the Rakan ultimate, but it looks like the Scuttle Grab, well, no, the Scuttle Grab's not even going to be an option for him. He's just going to disengage, and Rogue should secure the very first herald of the game.
And this is something we see quite a lot of teams do as well, at least what we just saw with Nukeduck, the fact that you want to threaten the fact that maybe I'm still here, maybe we have a team looking for engage, and that kind of prompts Trymbi not to move down towards the bot lane immediately, well, in turn then allows Patrik to hit the bot tower a little bit longer as well, so they still lose out on the play in the fact that Rogue gets the Rift Health, but it's still these nice micro things we see coming through from Nukeduck here as well.
Mikyx gonna drop a ward onto the Krugs. It should go unspotted. But the timing of that from Mikyx was excellent as well. Just as the ward disappeared from the tri-bushes when he made his way in, and now we'll have information on where Malrang is. Let's see what XL are able to do off the back of this.
And it's also something we don't talk about too often. Like, we talk about cross-map plays a lot, and when the Rift Herald's being taken, it's like, oh, can your AD carry get a plate? Can they get a couple of extra CS? But this deep vision is actually really beneficial to a team as well. If you can get some control of the enemy's jungle, you can spot Malrang as he comes across. You can also look to contest him on a camp respawn if you want to. It just gives you that next little bit, even though it is a losing trade when you lose the Herald for only a plate.
Yeah, and just with 1 minute now for the next Drake as well, that's already going to be the next objective. So while we've only had 2 kills, there's still a lot of action going on between the two teams in terms of where they're laying their point of aggression. You can even see it now with the XL vision control. They have just lit the enemy jungle up with pink wards, which makes it, of course, harder now for Rogue to come into a position where they can even try and set up or contest for the Drake.
Observers, if you could be so kind as to highlight the number of stacks that Patrik is currently sitting on with the Draven.
Let's guess first. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, guys.
Too late.
Close your eyes.
I saw it, yeah, I saw it, sorry.
Sorry. But it's 255th.
That's quite
255th?
257 now.
He's got a lot of stacks.
Oh, yeah.
Patrik is slowly starting to stack up, and if he's able to get that kill, that will be a lot of cash in his back pocket. Rogue, though, looking for the cross map. They have their eyes focused on the top side of the map. With the Herald, they should be able to secure this tower. Finn just trying to clear out the wave as best he can. He will be able to do it. Well played by him. But that, of course, it means the go signal. Look at the bottom of the mini-map. You can see XL have lit up that bot side jungle. They've been setting up for this play. They have full dragon control, and now Vi is making her way down.
Yeah, so now Finn's just going to come back with the recall. He's going to have mana up. I still think the top lane turret will go down with his best effort here. The Herald coming through. Actually, no, it's still 3 plates, so
The charge won't be enough to kill it. It will get it down to 1 plate, and of course, the bulwark, the more plates fall down, the tankier it becomes, so it's hard for the Renekton to deal with it there. Trymbi's going to get knocked up and gets the charm. Mikyx flashes away. Execute is enough. Patrik secures his first caching of the game. Nukeduck now on the chase, has the flash, steals away beyond the Hunters. It's a little bit shocked that Nukeduck decides to use it. He's going to get back towards this dragon. Second dragon of the game for XL. They'll get another plate down towards that bottom side as Rogue look to try and get something on top.
And I missed how much gold Patrik just cashed in, but I see he's got a 1.6k gold lead right now, and he is very fed.
Take that one down as we look for the damage in the mid lane. Larssen oversteps, and Markoon and Nukeduck very willing to take the 3rd kill of the game for the XL mid.
And just what a great early game from XL. He has so much productivity, not only just in terms of action around the lanes, but also just in terms of the decision making and the planning we're seeing, and of course the execution to come through. Nicely done there, and Rogue still really haven't found their footing yet. Had that Rift Herald, but they need more to play for.
And I don't really want to throw Larssen under the bus here, but one of the topic points that was brought up on the Analysts desk was his performance on Taliyah. When we typically think of him as a player, control mages are his bread and butter. When it comes to roaming mages, really the only one that has stood out has been this Rise, but we're going to initially look at this bot play, and then hopefully we get to see that mid play. But let's have a look at this execution. Good hook comes out from Mikyx. The follow-up stun comes immediately through, but Patrik with the ultimate and the Q damage, so much. I missed it again.
Yeah, so I just saw 70, but I was like, surely 70 wasn't what he got.
He went home and spent 3,500 gold, so he had quite a bit.
Larssen thinks he's safer here than he actually is. He does have the flash, but a great Everfrost from Nukeduck locks him in, and then the ultimate, along with the flash from Markoon, just locks him down. But we've been seeing this a lot from Larssen. He spent most of the laning phase pushed up, kind of like with his wave in a bit of an awkward spot, always trying to clear it, and it's left him susceptible to repeat ganks, which Markoon has been happy to take advantage of.
Not only that, Finn had the priority top lane as well, so even if you were to flash up towards the topside river, well, Finn was there as the Sejuani, so it's just like, not just one piece is missing here, it's just XL is there where Larssen just the man by himself.
And Rogue's early game continues to cause them problems. XL taking full advantage of it. 2 dragons to them. Ocean Soul is the one on the menu for us, of course buffed a couple of patches ago. XL will be looking to stack that up as quickly as possible. Could be a 23-minute Soul or thereabouts if they continue this bot side focus. And Nukeduck and Larssen meeting in the bottom lane. Larssen, of course, has that Weaver's Wall to try and get up towards mid, but we'll see if either of these mid laners leave the lane anytime soon.
Yeah, but if you get a fast Soul, that means fast Elder, and all of a sudden you have the Rogue win condition. Comp steals it with a Q, and there you go, they're back into it.
Very true.
That will be the first tower of the game going down in favor of Rogue, so of course the gold's still relatively close. Nukeduck.
Malrang's going to be able to dodge away here, but you can see Nukeduck just takes half of Malrang's health. And they don't even manage to clear out the ward that was in that Tribush. Larssen's going to come back around. Markoon just on the edge of vision. Oracles will spot him now, and Larssen pings him out, realizes, oh, don't really want any more of that action.
And the prioritization of the map control here from XL is actually really curious, because you still have that top side where Rift Herald is spawning in 40 seconds. But they don't really care about that setup. They keep the control towards the bottom side of the map. They want to pick up the turret here. It's not the first turret. That went down into the top side. But it's still very curious to see how much of the bot lane they're really putting a lot of their resources into here.
And XL's just playing a very clean early game. I think one of the biggest criticisms we've had of XL in recent weeks has been Mikyx. He has been getting caught out a lot. He has been dying a huge amount. Yeah. And I think XL having a clean early game from the bot side of the map has been instrumental in giving them control to really allow this mid jungle to shine, which so far this game, Nukeduck and Markoon have been doing a great job of.
I definitely have. XL having a very strong early game here as Rogue look to try and make plays around this Rift Herald. You can see XL moving everyone up here. Finn doesn't have TP, but nor does Odoamne. So if they're both in that bottom lane, it's going to be a 4v4. Trymbi's worked his way around here. No sweeper in that bush.
Can we quickly see XL's vision? What does XL see right now?
Not Trymbi.
Not Trymbi. They don't have information just yet. They have control over the river, but the only things they know is that Odoamne is joined and Trymbi is stuck in behind.
Mikyx. Trymbi gets the knock-up. Mikyx does have Merc Treads here. Could look for the jump across the wall, but no flash for him. Means that Larssen secures his first kill of the game.
And that's so pivotal when you're playing Rakan into the likes of a team composition that XL has. You need to find the engages from a flank, because if you face them head-on, you will get CC'd, you will die, it'll be over. So great presence of mind here from Trymbi. Finds an excellent spot to come in and find that pickup that eventually leads to another neutral objective for them.
Full-on mission impossible there from Trymbi, who was able to navigate his way through the minefield and was able to find a successful play. Very well played by him. Will finally get Rogue on the board when it comes to kills, but the Dragon spawns in 30 seconds. Right now, XL are the ones that have control. They're sending Nukeduck down to go and push out that wave, and they're going to get a couple resets in. You can see Patrik likely sitting on a decent amount of gold that he's going to want to spend ahead of this next Drake fight that you know Rogue is going to want to try and contest.
Yeah, almost so close to that LDR as well, so that's going to be extremely hurtful to face this Draven coming into that next objective. And still, despite resets coming through, Rogue not in a position to go into the river, sweep out the mission, and take some of this control for themselves. This just looks like they kind of are forfeited. Just give up that Drake. They're going to try with the Rift Herald now in the mid to gain some pressure. Come no spell shield now.
20 seconds down for that. XL now going to try and get mid prio of their own. Flash is available for both the AD carries. Importantly, Trymbi didn't use his flash or the quickness. Jump across the wall, Markoon going in, but it's only onto Trymbi. Not really the target you want, but instead they go forward with the cease and desist. Good stopwatch by Trymbi. Has the quickness out of this if he wants it. Instead, battle dances back to his teammates. Mikyx now locked up. One support went in and the other one died as Odoamne now trying to fight Finn down towards the bottom side. A 4v5 perhaps for XL. Good Everfrost coming out from Nukeduck. Patrik unable to get the axes in. Odo flashes, flash across the wall. Good from Patrik. Knockback not going to hit here. The Dragon aggro, Trymbi low, Finn stepping forward. Glacial Prison already used. Nukeduck, full HP, full mana. It's got to do something in this fight. Patrik trying to heal up with the Immortal Shield Bow as Rogue advance. Cataclysm. Patrik no flash, does have the exhaust. Odo going in as well. Patrik knocked back. Patrik taken out. And now Rogue can really open up. Cobb's going to flash away from Nukeduck. Markoon looking for it as well, but the stopwatch from Nukeduck will only buy himself a second. Knocked back into the waiting arms of Larssen as Rogue win the fight.
XL got overconfident. They thought that with Nukeduck being full health, they could still win that fight, but Rogue had the numbers advantage, and they played it well. After Patrik lost his flash, Malrang held on to the ultimate and waited for that opportunity. The moment that he found it, Rogue was quick to pounce, and now they find themselves with the gold lead and a dragon to boot.
Oh, Mikyx getting caught off here again. No flash on Odo and Mikyx.
We went from praising him to now seeing him make a couple of mistakes in quick succession, getting caught out, going a bit too deep in the last play here, having to burn his ultimate to get out of that fight.
And all of a sudden, Rogue back into the gold lead, and it comes from a very split fight here. I think Odo does a very good job at splitting the members of XL apart, because they want to commit on Trymbi, but they also want to try and turn on Odo. Because of that, you have members going for 2 different plays, and Mikyx get hit just the edge there. That looked a little bit suspect, continues on with the fight, and here I think this is where you back out. This is where Vedi was saying they're getting overconfident.
And you can see that this flash from Odo, really great onto Patrik, so it forces him to flash as well. And you look at the HP bars, you're saying Nukeduck is full, Markoon is healthy, Finn, our front line is still there, we can still do this. But look, Malrang recognizes the opportunity, EQ, ult, and then he doesn't even stick around. He doesn't give Patrik the opportunity, he just keeps him there, and it locks XL up into this narrow corridor. I think that was a 3-man knockup as well, coming out from Larssen on his W alongside the knockup from Trymbi. Means that Rogue is able to clean sweep XL and find themselves a Draven.
And the power that this Draven had in the early game really not coming to fruition there for XL. A few of the errors we've seen from them in the second half of the season, rearing their ugly heads once again. Relatively even still this game, only about 1,500 gold between the 2 teams. 2 dragons to XL for 1 from Rogue, but the early game momentum that XL had seems to be slipping away.
That's the thing, and this also now with the Drake being gone, that's like that early soul, it's not coming through. You bought yourself 5 extra minutes. Now Rogue can be the team that excels on the map, and Nukeduck might be caught off by the rotations coming through.
Where are you going to go, Nukeduck Cataclysm? But you can't dash through the worked ground. Nukeduck pops the stopwatch, but the rest of the team is not here. It is a Zhonya, so it will come back out. Not too much wasted there by Nukeduck.
But he's not even buying any time, right? You look towards the bot side, Odo pushed it in. The rest of the team is coming off the resets now. So it's really just Nukeduck being caught out of position here that Rogue equalizes on immediately.
And we've seen this from XL in recent weeks as well. Part of the reason why they have been on this losing streak is these individual errors that we're seeing, and like, it's almost like they're losing focus. One thing goes wrong, and all of a sudden, these individual mistakes are starting to pop up, and Rogue now finds themselves with much more control over the map. You can see the vision so much invested on towards the top side. Very quickly highlighted for you. You can see all of this vision invested in terms of the river. They've got these slightly deeper wards as well. Just so much control is given to them, which means that they can now play towards this objective. They can also play through top. They can play through mid. Rogue have way more options, and XL feel like they're now on the back foot.
And honestly, they can play for Odo as well if they're looking for it. He's got the Frostfire Gauntlet, right? So you think he's going to be this tank in the front line, but he's also paired up with the Blade of the Ruined King, which, well, one thing, still fine into Finn. You can still try and look for something. You probably need 3 people, but if you find a squishy member like Nukeduck, Markoon, Patrik, you can blow these people up, and you will just get one-shot by the Taliyah Renekton combo.
Rogue, once again, setting up a trap in the enemy jungle. This is the thing that XL have to be so afraid of. They do have that 1 ward in the pit, which hasn't been cleared, meaning that XL know they don't have to overextend, and Rogue likely not fully informed of this, but you can see the pings coming down. Rogue know, XL knows something's going wrong, and that's Mikyx caught.
Misses the dredge line as well. If he hits the wall there, maybe he gets away, but Rogue catch out Mikyx. Markoon didn't want to step up, didn't have his flash. Mikyx thought he could, and now Baron started for Rogue.
Now, Markoon does have his flash up. He has the smite available. Can XL get the steal?
5,000 HP on it. XL, your playoff hopes hang in the balance. Difficult weekend ahead of you if you lose this game as Malrang goes in. Trymbi diving forward as well on the backline. Nukeduck with a good quickness will distract him. Lots of damage from the Whirling Death as well, but Comp is still alive. Glacial Prison coming out as Finn looks for that backline. Comp surviving though, and now Nukeduck's on the wrong side of dodge, can rejoin his team. A pincer movement though, perhaps from Rogue as Markoon knocked up by Malrang. Once again, the blast cone back will knock Trymbi into 3 members of XL, and Patrik takes 1. Nukeduck continues to survive, and this time he's buying perhaps enough time to get his team through this fight. Nukeduck gets out. Ends up being a 1-for-1.
And this time around, the overconfidence pays off. 5 versus 4, and XL still come out on top. They might turn on towards the objective now. No teleports on either solo laners of Rogue. They could have time, but it's still dangerous. They don't burn it too fast, and Odo and Malrang are right in the vicinity.
Larssen coming in with the Weaver's Wall. Perhaps he can sow some discontent in this Baron take. Death charge onto Odoamne. Dredge line's going to hit as well, but Mikyx, you're so deep in the enemy team. You're basically invisible, submersed in the midst of Rogue, and you will fall. Mikyx once again too deep. Malrang flashing forward, good flash away from Patrik, but the Cataclysm will lock him in spot. Ricochet, boom! As Rogue ripped through the hearts of XL.
And XL are wiped off the map once again. It's only Nukeduck left to watch as his team falls apart. Rogue are looking for the final kill, but they have taken everything from XL.
And it's just so difficult to watch because it feels like both teams are getting too over-aggressive. They're not willing to just say, you know what, we go for the resets, now let's get back to have that tempo advantage. Drake has just spawned as well. XL could have cleared out the Baron mission, went towards the Drake instead, pick up that objective, or at least just neutralize it. But they get too over-aggressive, and Rogue, they punish immediately.
I think the initial play here from XL is really good. The great patient play, they're keeping their distance, and then Medic highlighted it, the engage onto the backline by stealing away the Rakan ultimate, locks up both Comp and Larssen, and then the ultimate from Finn was beautiful because it keeps the damage dealers from really getting involved in the fight. Then Nukeduck just acts as stall, keeping distance, wasting time while Mikyx's able to come back out. And this looks a little scary here, but the blast code, I think it was Trymbi that ended up popping it, actually gets Markoon to safety and costs him his life, and then Nukeduck continues to stall. And it's the turn from XL that really costs them so much. The fact that Larssen was able to throw down the E into this narrow choke point is really where things start to fall apart. This overcommitment here onto Odo. And look at this E from Larssen. Look at how difficult it is now for XL to play into this choke point. They're all kind of in two minds as to what to do. And then the Sivir, Taliyah able to come together to rip apart XL.
And then just a beautiful Cataclysm to top it all off. Stopwatch coming through. Malrang not dying, and well, we know how it goes for Nukeduck. He is not long for that world. And now with Baron buff, you can't just play on 2 lanes. No reason to play on 3. You have Odo pushing in the mid lane. You have a Sivir down towards the bottom lane. Super easy to just try and chop down these turrets with minion waves coming through that you can now move into the mid lane instead, go back to the bot lane. So much pressure that XL is going to be under now from Rogue.
Rogue just taking over the game. Mikyx once again caught out of position, knocked back by Larssen, who is on an absolute tear. Markoon going in, but Trymbi's able to survive as XL now have to retreat 4v5 in this bottom lane. And from being 0-3-0, Larssen now 0-2-0, sorry, now Larssen now 6-2-6. On the other side, Nukeduck has not picked up a kill since those early forays.
And really the unsung heroes of the game, Odoamne and Comp, we haven't really needed to talk about them because their impact, while being quite silent, has been very meaningful. Odoamne has been playing these fights extremely well. Comp has been consistently dishing out damage. You can see neither is yet to face death, and Odoamne now finds himself 1 versus 3, and he's forcing XL back.
Cannon minion here means that Rogue will probably just back away. 50 seconds left on the Baron. They want to use it to reset, regroup, get back on the map. Rabadon's on its way for Larssen, you have to expect. And it's going to be very difficult now for XL to find a way back into this game.
Yeah, because the thing is, they're not really in a position to just use the Baron buff and run down the turret immediately. They don't want to get over-aggressive as well. But now, if Larssen can pick up that Rabadon step cat, and you just get CC on one person, well, you can blow them up immediately. You get that 5 versus 4 advantage, or you get the team fight, you start chopping away the turrets afterwards. That's really what Rogue is looking for, but they're also in the luxurious position where they can play the map. They have a Taliyah, they have multiple ways of crashing down to the side lane, and they still have the pressure of a Baron buff.
Rogue is also, of course, looking to lock in a playoff spot, and with this win, they will be able to do it. They will also lock Misfits alongside them, and then we will have 3 teams locked in playoffs so far. XL's journey will only get harder as Fnatic go up against Astralis, 2 direct competitors that are right next to XL. So unless XL can find a miracle to find their way back into this game, things are only going to get harder with only 2 games left to play.
7,000 gold and change in the hole right now. They do have a 3-item AD carry. Draven sitting on the Infinity Edge, the Immortal Shieldbow, and that Lord Dominic's 3 items as well on Comp. And as we've seen, if he is left alone in a fight, if he can get some of those boomerangs spinning, they just absolutely slice through XL. Very difficult for XL to get on that AD carry, especially with the spell shield.
And especially when Patrik doesn't have flash either as well, just due to the fact that he can't really be the one being aggressive here. There's so much pick potential that he goes too far forward. They are just going to lock him down.
Going in, there's the quickness, that steep good hook from Mikyx, but they still manage to get onto Patrik, who is taken out immediately. Odo coming onto the back line as well as they're tanking this tower for absolutely yonks. A double for Larssen, he takes down 2. Odo's going to chase away XL. Malrang survives, Rogue lose no one, and XL's hopes lie battered and bruised at the side of top lane.
And that's exactly what they were looking for. They got the reset through, they find one pickup, and then they take the turret. In a 5 versus 3 situation now. Question is, how far can Rogue go? There's still 1 minute and 30 seconds on the Drake, and as it looks right now, they're going to pick up the inhibitor. They're going to be happy about the objective, and Mikyx might have something else to say.
Mikyx, that was not so fine.
He's going towards that 0-10 spike that Broxah mentioned on the Nami as well.
It's a struggle though for him. Obviously, he's looking for these engages. He's trying to find picks. A little bit too over-eager at times, and at points in a game like this, you're just looking for anything you can find.
Let's have a look back at this engage here. Just beautiful from Malrang. His team, with the amount of mobility that they have, look at how quickly they're able to collapse as well. Trymbi on the Rakan, Larssen with the ultimate. Odoamne then in from the flank, and Comp is just able to keep Markoon's attempts at bay as they're able to get away with all 5 members. Beautiful dive from Rogue. Really textbook execution, especially with the lead that they're able to have. That's really what you need to see when you have a lead like this, being able to push it effectively. Rogue not looking to waste any time. 7 towers to 2, 16 kills to 6. They know they're stronger. They have the items to prove it, and they're looking to end this game.
Playing up towards the mid lane, but nothing is really synced up by it, so it's not going to amount to much. Odo is just going to be forced to go back afterwards. Need to make sure the vision is crisp here from Rogue, that no flanks will be coming through. No summoner spell right now on Larssen except that ghost, but not having that flash makes him vulnerable. Could be a key target for XL as well. Now Drake is being started up in just 5 seconds by Rogue, and I think there's no realistic way that XL could be looking for it here. Top lane super minions slowly but surely creeping in as well.
Just want to quickly highlight this small ward that has been dropped by Rogue in the top lane. In the event that XL wanted to come and contest Rogue at this Drake, they had this other option where, as the super minion wave was stacking top, they had the ability to TP with Odoamne and potentially threaten the Nexus as well. So always thinking ahead as well as to what potential answers they have to whatever XL want to try and do.
XL now just looking for whatever gold they can find on the map. Third item finished on Nukeduck. Needs something pretty special if they're going to be able to get into this fight. Rogue have yet to start up the Baron. Patrik trying to get mid lane prior. Threaded, Weaver's Wall coming out from Larssen to separate the team. That will fall. And the Baron yet to be started means that Rogue will just use this time to get a little bit of vision for themselves. The Weaver's Wall goes down.
This just becomes so difficult for XL to play if you just go into a straight up front to back. Surely you just lose to the playing into the last threat with Valée as well, the Earth as well. And I just feel like you need to find a flank position from XL, or else this is just not going to work out. But the vision control is just being kept in check by Rogue. This is why it's so difficult for XL at the moment.
We've got 2 ways pushing in as well, both top and bot. Rogue have full control of the map. Markoon looking for something, but it's onto Odoamne, who will just brush it off. Malrang hiding in the Baron pit. Here goes Odoamne.
There's the stun, and there's the knockback. Markoon just locked up for an absolute year. Nothing the XL jungler could do to get away from that, apart from just not being there in the first place. Cataclysm going forward, Larssen going legendary, and Rogue looking for their 7th playoffs in a row. They missed 1. Since then, it has been 7. It's been heaven for Rogue. Nukeduck, nothing he can do against the oncoming storm that is Rogue. He'll flash away, Baron will be started, and Rogue are punching their ticket to playoffs.
What is there left to say other than a complete decimation from Rogue? The early game was looking shaky, but they cleared up their team fights and they were just able to outperform XL. The kills have been dominant, the performance has been clean, and Rogue have looked to come into this final week looking strong to cement themselves into the LEC playoffs.
Yeah, just a revamp of Rogue as well, where it's not always just about that early game. They find ways to play for the mid to late game. I think this game is a great way of showing it as well. And now coming through to a point where, as we talked about, you just can't front to back them here. Like, it's impossible for XL to win these team fights.
All I'm going to say is that Europe has this thing where they go through a phase of, I think, range support's good, Lulu, Renata, hey, we even saw some Janna, Nami's in there, and then they all rediscover Rakan. And it's always around playoffs time that the Rakan comes back, and we see all of our top Rakan players here in Europe with their incredible engages. We saw it with Treats last game, we're seeing it again with Trymbi. Europe just loves Rakan, and they know how to make him work.
Last year with playoffs as well, but yeah, coming through Markoon, looking for it. But that's Vi into Sivir for you. It's a tough matchup. That spell shield always there.
It's Vi into Sivir, it's Vi into Stopwatch, it's Vi into viable champions, and right now Markoon is feeling that as the last Nexus Tower, the target for Rogue. That was a demolition. Mikyx unable to stand against the base of Rogue. There's 2 already. Markoon pops a stopwatch. Nukeduck goes in with the Cataclysm, puts a stopwatch down of his own. He'll fall.
That's 4.
That's 4. It's a quadruple comp. They're looking for more. They're looking to give him 5. been locked up with the Weavers. Whoa, they lock him in place. Comp one more.
Give it to him.
The stopwatch. Finn delays it, but Comp will have his penta.
Comp spins them right round, baby, and he's looking to get the win against XL.
Oh, right on theme there as well, very beautiful. And Rogue pick up the win against XL in a game that looked dire in the early game for the boys in blue, but manage it to turn it back towards the mid to late game, and XL fumble as well for them, still jarring towards their road for playoffs and slipping up here when Fnatic and Astralis are playing afterwards. Not what you're looking for.
With that, of course, Rogue will lock themselves a spot in playoffs. They will also lock Misfit alongside them. That means 3 out of the 6 spots have been taken, and XL's journey is only going to get harder from here.
Really need to win their last 2 games and hope that Fnatic and Astralis do not go 3-0 on the week. I will congratulate Comp once again, his first pentakill on the LEC stage, first competitive pentakill, at least in a tier 1 region as well. So congratulations to Comp. Great to see. I will say, Sivir's one of those champions that it's a bit like Zeri. When you see a pentakill on it, it's like, did he play it really well, or did he just, you know,
Penta's a penta.
It doesn't have to be in vain every time, okay?
I think it does, man.
Yeah. No, I feel like we still saw some of the weaknesses as well. There's still room to grow, but for Rogue to have this stepping stone as well, for them to breathing up easily now, being like, okay, we've secured playoffs. We can now start to focus on that. Must be a sigh of relief for them.
I mean, for sure, and it's a game where they'll still go back, they'll review. The early game wasn't great.
Yes.
We have to acknowledge that the really big shifting point was around that Drake, where they were able to find a 5 versus 4 team fight. And again, they played it very well. A lot of credit needs to be given to them, but their early game was not the cleanest. And this is something that they will need to keep track of.
This is the first time I've seen our hair on camera.
What are you talking about? This is just...
This is just how we look. What are you talking about?
I mean,
It's another Friday.
You keeping pets now? It's like a little hamster?
You like it?
Your key player of the game votes Malrang, Larssen, and Comp are your options. I think everyone's going to give it to Comp because the guy got a penta.
Probably.
Larssen actually,
Maybe.
after being 0-2...
The Odo was a little robbed, I will say.
You think Odo was robbed?
I think so.
I mean, he was solid, but
I think he was
is
really
it the
good
play
this
of the
game.
game performance?
I think so.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Well, you can write it, and you and Ender are the two people
Me and Ender
writing
will
down
write it
Twitter
underneath.
now.
We'll write underneath. Yeah,
Odo
yeah.
was robbed. Odo was robbed. But let's throw it over to Sjokz and Ender to dissect that Rogue win, where they will also be joined by Larssen in just a bit. Take it away.
Exactly. Thank you so much. By the way, out of all the people's awesome hairdos and mustaches, that's actually all of Medic's real hair. I'm quite sure. So yeah, doesn't
Sorry,
even need.
I'm casting my vote right now. Sorry.
On the player of the game.
Yeah, I
Who did
had
you
to
vote for?
respond with Odoamne because for some reason they were missing him there. I think Vedius brought up some great points towards the end of that.
I think at this point we do it just to spite Odoamne.
That's messed up. That's messed up. The man went years without getting a single vote. You got to give him something.
It's not true. Let's talk about the game. Larssen is going to join us in just a little bit so we can ask him about how he turned that Taliyah record around, because it was 0-3 before this game. And there was a certain amount of things also to turn around in this game because Rogue did not get off to the right foot. We saw some vintage XL early game.
Yeah, really good early game performance out of them. Of course, finding double kill in mid lane very early on right here. And Markoon just showed really good poise. It turns into a 2 versus 2 right here, but Larssen takes so much damage off the start, and Nukeduck has a great little juke of the seismic shove to not get interrupted on that whatsoever. So they take him down, and Malrang had nowhere to go. And then after that, XL are able to continue to convert. In just the 2 versus 2 in the bottom lane, they convert this dive into a dragon that's going on at the same time. Just full bot side play from XL was a very good look for them.
And this is what they love to do, right? Making sure that their bot lane is in a good position, then coming down there for a little roam, for a little gank. And that's what we had been missing, but unfortunately it didn't keep going like that.
Yeah, I mean, Larssen, the suffering as he tries to eke out one more auto for the turret plate. Malrang's right next to him. You understand why he's going for a play like this, but XL, of course, just immediately off the dragon, and Nukeduck's run to the bot lane has a great angle to try and get that gank off.
I can see him already, Larssen. I think he's about to get a microphone, and then we can ask him about these plays, because this is not what you want, probably, ideally, when you really want to make that Taliyah work, right? And we heard it also in the interview. They're just trying these different things. I also think we can ask him, but with the view on Worlds, you know, heavy roaming champions, the ability to impact the map and how the meta is played on international level with the likes of the LPL and the LCK, it's good that you get to practice that.
100%. Being able to crash dive side lane, super, super important, especially on the international stage. So we like to see the Taliyah working into it. Welcome, Larssen.
We do. Hello, Larssen. So congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, why you're not so happy?
I mean, it was a rough early game, but I mean, I'm happy I came back and was still really strong, even if I was really behind early.
Yeah, I agree. Let's maybe get the replay up again if we can for production. I don't know, but we just kind of had the early game by Excel because you probably think that you messed up, but on the other side, Excel actually played it really well. But what was your read on kind of the early ganks and the early issues?
Yeah, I mean, Nautilus went mid level 2, and that was very annoying because my wave was pretty bad. You can see my wave state is pretty bad. I wasn't really playing smart enough, I guess. I think I was playing wave management too bad, honestly. It was in two awkward moments. First I lose my flash in a bad wave state, and now it's bad again.
Yeah, and what I'm curious, because Malrang's right there, he's probably coming down to try and cover you. The timing's just slightly off. Same thing in this next play after the bot dive happened and Nukeduck sort of roamed up to gank you in mid. How do you find, after you're put in a position like that, how do you then look forward to recovering over the next few minutes?
Honestly, I just needed to form up. I just needed to calm down, and I still realized I will be strong later. Even if I entered early, not the end of the world. I will still be strong, as you saw. I just need to stay strong mentally and not run it down.
Crumble and run it down. When you say that you weren't happy and kind of the way you managed your waves and everything, I feel like that's something that comes so natural to you, though. Yeah. So that's interesting to hear that even at this level and in these games that sometimes you just have an off early game. And I like your kind of perspective on that of well, it's going to happen. So
I mean, I just came into a match. I wanted to play aggressive and not care too much, but backfired pretty quickly. That's the risky thing with that playstyle. When you don't care too much, you might just get fucked.
Yeah. Oh no, now you're just not going to play aggressive next time because this happens.
Yeah, we just go back to playing passive and having tower.
Oh, God, Excel, what have you done?
I love me some 50-minute games.
What have you done? But Larssen, as you say, stayed in the game. All of you are going to take a look at the Baron fight next. What do you think was the key to coming back in this game then?
I think here it's already won. At this part of the game. I mean, their comp is honestly so bad. I think in towers, if they're not real ahead, I don't think they can play teamfights ever. So at this point, I kind of knew the game's over. Even though, actually, I think here we're almost through the game. No, I feel
it was close. Yeah,
pretty close.
Here we're almost through the game. I'm actually not sure what happened. I think we failed our engage really hard.
Yeah, it was a 5 versus 4. You went in on them, and then I think Nukeduck actually came in the backline and sort of took your attention away with the stolen Rakan ultimate, and then turns it around with all the sustain to actually get a kill and force it into a 5v4 where Excel then try to force the Baron, but then you sort of I think Odo baits them all into your E.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're so ahead, they can't really fight against us, honestly. My champ is so broken against their champs. They're all melees.
How do they walk through this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
That's the Freddy 1-2 outdraft.
Talk to me about your Taliyah, Larssen, because 0-3 before this one. You were workshopping it a fair bit. So where do you think you've improved your Taliyah gameplay in this one? Except for laning phase.
I mean, I probably played it 100 games the past 2 weeks just to get good at it. Because I was losing every game, as you saw. And then this game I was 0-2 in lane. I was oh shit, not another one of these Taliyah games. But yeah, I mean, I came back somehow, so.
Yeah.
How do you sort of compare, I mean, you say you were playing 100 games of it this week. Previously, before those matches, were you playing, comparable amounts to the Taliyah in solo queue or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those champs where I never played in my whole life because I just refused to play it when I was younger. I don't know why. I was just scaling. So, I mean, it's kind of a new champ to me, but I'm happy I didn't give up on it after going 0-3 because there were some considerations should we really play Taliyah after losing 3 games on it? So I'm happy I had a good game on it.
Yeah, absolutely. How much in terms of kind of trying new things, etc., do you have your eye on what comes next? Because you've always been good in the regular season. Now maybe a little slump right before playoffs, but everyone's expecting you to be good in playoffs. Most people are expecting you to get to Worlds. In fact, you could just book it directly through championship points. How much is your perspective already on what comes after this, the big world stage possibly, and how you want to put more in your toolbox for that?
Definitely not at all. As you mentioned, we have been struggling a lot. Actually, recently, we lost against a lot of weak teams. So we have basically been taking it day by day a lot because our packs have been pretty bad before. And I think, but now we improved a lot and we're taking it day by day. We can't really look too much forward since we've been struggling quite a bit.
I'm looking forward a little bit to hopefully playing in your home country. That would be nice, probably. Yep. And maybe Comp can do the same thing he did here. He is a key player of the game with the first Penta of Summer 2022. What was the comms like?
Already also 1 kill. He was screaming Penta kill.
Sivir players, am I right?
I was actually trying my best to steal it. Until the last kill, I was now if I scream for Penta after 1 kill, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
But he was too good last hitting, and then I mean, at the last point, I just need to give it to him.
It's a great pentakill, but don't you think they have it easy, the ADCs with the Sivirs and stuff and the Zeries of this world?
Yeah, of course. It's really easy. I mean, it's pretty unskilled. Yeah. I mean, if I played ADC, I would also get Penta.
Yeah, okay.
The quirky pentas all the time.
Quirky penta is so common. No, but really nice. From Comp, indeed, you have locked playoffs with this win, and you also locked Misfits into the playoffs, so yeah, maybe they owe you like a cake or something.
Quite sure they went playoffs anyway, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they were worried.
I don't think they were too worried either. XL, though, is very worried. So as we round up this interview, I'd love to know what you think is going wrong with XL, who we thought was going to make playoffs super easily.
It's one of those things where I think they just got maybe too comfortable. Maybe they got like too big egos. It's kinda a thing that can happen when you win too much and you get like too comfortable. You don't really try to improve as much as you should. Sadly, this is a big thing in a lot of teams when you win a lot. And yeah, I mean, now it's hard for them now to have so much pressure on them, so they put themselves in a really bad spot. Yeah,
I think for XL, like this was the match that they could lose, sort of going into the weekend to still have a chance, and they need to get a couple of other wins.
They were on red side, so.
Yeah, they were on red side, and I liked the idea of trying to play much more around mid lane and then like get a really strong draft in the bottom lane for Patrik, but just didn't work in the end.
It didn't work, but Rogue booked their ticket to the playoffs. Awesome to see. And before we head to the break, let's remind you of the Warner Song of the Week, History by Joel Corey and Becky Hill, and make sure to check it out on the official LEC Spotify playlist. We'll be right back with Fnatic versus Astralis.